Hey everybody, okay, today's sales training, if you're actually looking for factual detail on things, feel free to cut this one now. This is that irritating, boring life lesson stuff I do now and then. And I don't know why, maybe it's just on my mind, maybe it's my subconscious trying to tell me something and I'm putting it out there to other folks. But either way, 3 times in the last 2 days, I have had the subject come up that I've had to discuss with someone about life and priorities and stuff. I know that most people live by platitudes. I know that most people live by just cool sayings. And by the way, those tend to be some of the finest people, some of the hardest workers, some of the greatest mothers and fathers and grandmas and grandpas in existence. And for me to imply anything but absolute respect and love instead of condescension, which is what I am implying, shame on me and to my disgrace. Because us people that think we're smart and want to condescend are usually the idiots that are wrong. So now that I have hopefully, clearly, and honestly stated, I do not claim the high road. I do want to continue with what I was discussing. Most live by platitudes. Where I get frustrated with people at times is why. Why do you use that platitude? Do you know it? Do you mean it? Do you understand it? Do you get the balance of it? Do you get the rotation of it? Do you get what it means? One of the most common that I hear is, oh, don't forget the kids. Oh, don't forget the family. Oh, you got to watch that. And I always make the comment, what does that mean? What does that mean? I had a boss once when I was a young man. And golly, my daughter, my oldest, was just a year old, not quite. And she was the coolest thing ever. Those of you with young kids know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are older than that will still remember that first baby when you think you were so old and you were so big and you're so mature. And when we look back at it now, and it's like, oh my gosh, you were 20-something. That's okay. That's just a fun aside. But when you come home to that kid, man, you will never have anything cooler. That home you dreamt of, that vacation that would change your life, that education when you received, that car you had to have, that boyfriend, that girlfriend. There is nothing in the world ever, even remotely, as wonderful as that coming home, that little bitty baby that wants to play. I'm telling you, man, walking in that house and having her toddle up to me from somewhere between 6 months old, love the little one too, but up to even 3 years. I'm surprised my wife stayed married to me because I ignored her until it was bedtime because I was so busy playing with that cute little kid. Sitting at that little daggum toy house and playing tea party and stuff. God, it was the best time ever. So I say all that to go to. I've got a boss and he's laying down some pretty heavy hours. I mean, we had to be there at 7:30 in the morning. 4 days a week, you had to work until at least 9 p.m. And then 2 other days a week, you had to work at least a 6-hour shift. So it was literally about 64, 65 hours a week, and it was brutal. And I looked at him being self-righteous and Mr. Knowledgeable and educated and godly man, and, you know, I have family, my child, I want to see my child, I can't work this much, and da-da-da-da. And he looked at me, doing his best to sell me. And he's like, well, you know, I'm the same way. Man, I hear you. It's great. I love it. Oh, you're absolutely right. He goes, but let me tell you, I do the same thing. But what I've come to learn is it's quality time versus quantity time. So because we haven't used the whiteboard in a little while and not knowing exactly what my point is going to be, he stressed quality versus quantity. And I needed the job and I needed the income, so I said, cool. And I also looked at him and said, but bullshit. By the way, I hope that can be on YouTube. If it can't, sorry. Because it was. It's crock. But at the same time, I have somebody tell me, oh, you got to spend time with the kids. Oh, I can't do that. I get employees that want to say the exact same thing to me. And I don't look at them and make this exact claim. Because my problem is this, and here I'm going to jump off on the sidetrack, and if there is any sales training, it's probably more here than anywhere else in what we're going to discuss. It's almost impossible to have this without this. Give me quality, not quantity. Give me quality, not quantity. This is freakishly hard. This is effort. And this makes that. You don't get this without that. You don't get quality time with your infant child without some quantity time. You can't. You don't. You don't get quality sales, quality clients without quantity clients. Oh, I want to laser focus. I want the right client. I want the right. Great for you. You know, you get that by hitting thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands. And you weed through a lot of ugly peas to get to the good ones. And then you start getting a reputation for the good ones. And then only the good ones see you and more of the ugly ones don't. You have to do the quantity to get to the quality. At the same time, what is quality without quantity? Trust me, your children would usually rather have you spend 10 hours a week with them sitting there watching TV than 1 hour a week only doing something really intense. Not knocking the other. If this is all you got, then you do it. And I respect it. Because it comes back to my argument of people. Is it about you or is it about them? And if it's about them, to what extent? It's about them being fed and having housing and having shelter. It's about them for emotional maturity. It's about them for first year education. It's about how they're going to raise their children. It's about the values they're going to... What level of it is it about them? And that's where people are like, shut up, leave me alone, I want to live by platitudes. And guess what? Again, they're right and I'm wrong. But I can spend all the time in the world with my children. I can spend, relatively speaking, quality and quantity nonstop. The way I do that is I find really, really low rent housing. And I go on Section 8 for housing and government assistance. And hopefully because of my Indian card, I can get some free cheese. And I sit around the house and, you know, try to pirate cable off of one of the people that works across the street. And I'm 24/7. We'll homeschool and not really go to school. I got quality, quantity, I got it all. There's a reason that people that work real hard try to send their kids to the best schools and where they have the best relationships and it all has cost. It all has cost. It all has cost. My wife a couple years ago wrote an incredible book. Let me save that for a second. I always make these speeches and I make them hard to people, and y'all may be confused. What I'm saying may not make any sense. I make the speeches, I make them hard to them because they're so far over here, caught up in the platitudes without thinking of the eventual stretch and run of it, that I have to swing them real hard to get them to hopefully come back to here. Because if somebody is staunchly set over here, and especially if they're staunchly set over here without knowing why they are, because all they've been sold are platitudes and they bought the wisdom of them without understanding the balance of them, that if they need to be here, you'd like to at least be able to think here. You can't hit them here. You got to hit them hard. Some make it, some it locks up. But people that catch it usually come back and go, well, where is? What is the quality? What is the quantity? How much time is right with kids? How much is too low? Do I send them to boarding school? Now, I love my wife's book, and I'm not just trying to sell it. Balance. It is balance. And guess what? You're never going to be perfect. You have a couple of windows in your life where you are perfectly balanced. They're fabulous. But you got to think of it for a minute. When you were a kid, you remember teeter-totters? Remember when we weren't so fat that we could do teeter-totters? Sorry. Did you ever try to one-man the teeter-totter? I love doing the teeter-totter. And the fun thing with the teeter-totter with boys is you always want to be the one that's the first, you get the other kid up in there and then you jump off and they plummet down and break their tailbone. God, that was hilarious. But usually it was you getting knocked, but either way, it was so fun. But did you ever do the one-man teeter-totter where you ran up and it fell and then you came and you ran back and it fell, which was a blast? Did you ever do the balance game with your friends where everybody got on one and y'all all got right in the middle and you're trying to keep it going? Every now and then you'd be, poof, I got it. And it's a wonderful few minutes, but you never once, never got it. And you could just sit there for 27 hours and let people come. You're always making adjustments. You're always having to make corrections. This leg twitched. My mind lost focus. A butterfly landed over there. The wind blew. One of them twitched, sent a minor vibration that caused twitch. Whatever it is, you're always adjusting. That's a good thing. Seek balance in your life. You cannot just have quality, and you cannot just have quantity. And here's the crazy thing. I can't give you the perfect formula. You know why? It doesn't exist for you. You know why it doesn't exist for you? Because much like what the perfect stance was to balance that teeter-totter, it's not the same now. Now. Now, it changes just as the future is always then as well as now. It's always changing, and you have to always be seeking, always testing, always finding balance. I hope you understand what this has to do with sales, because it has everything to do with sales. It has everything to do with life. There are absolutely times where other things have to sacrifice because you have to put in here. I love the metaphors of a farmer. There's two times when you ain't gonna see him. One is that season between the rains to get the crops in, and one is that season when you're cutting the harvest. That comes. And it changes. Know your balance. I've rambled too long. I'm sorry. I love you. God bless you. Have a great day.